Hello again, YouTube, and I'm back with another video. In this video here, I chose to do this video to answer another question from one of the other viewers as far as the TriStar MPPT 600 volt charge controller and the Midnite Classic 250. And but to talk about both of these charge controllers and to answer his question and to also answer another question from another viewer some time ago about how my solar panel, my solar arrays are set up. And well, first of all, between these two charge controllers, this is the TriStar MPPT 600, and again that's the Midnite Classic. I would have to say between the two, which one I like the best is I like this one the best. And I say this because this thing right here is a workhorse. And I mean, it is a workhorse in a sense that, I mean, it's designed to, take punishment, and you've seen how this thing performs. And the fact that I can take all of my solar array and connect it to it, as opposed to having to do series parallel and so forth like that, this thing is a workhorse. And this particular charge controller too, this Midnite Classic, I have to say, this thing is also a workhorse. It's a great controller. It does exactly what it needs to do. Right now the fan is on because it is hot, and it does exactly what it needs to do. And I have no complaints whatsoever. But between the two, based on their performance up to this point, I've had them for a number of months. Based on the performance, I'll have to say I have to go with the Morningstar. If I had to recommend a charge controller to anybody thinking about getting charge controllers, I would have to go with the Morningstar, this brand right here. And I say this because, for one thing, they build some very top-notch, I mean top-of-the-line type charge controllers. I've owned two different varieties. I've owned a Sunsaver MPPT, and I also own this one here. And I have to say that their customer service is excellent. The first one I accidentally blew up because I flipped this switch as opposed to flipping this one first. I called them up and they said no problem, so they shipped me a new one. And I had a couple of questions about what was going on with the one that they shipped. I mean, it was working, but I just had a question about the alarm, and so forth. And they say, hey, you know what? Just ship it back to us, and we'll ship you a new one. You ship back that one, we'll take a look at it. I mean, no questions asked. And I mean, customer service, I have to say that the customer service was friendly. Their response was immediate. I've dealt with tech support dealing with the Midnite Classic, and their tech support, they were helpful, they were knowledgeable, but I had some specific questions about Modbus programming and stuff like that, so I can't really expect everybody to know that one. But all in all, their customer service was good too. But I would have to say the Morningstar customer service was exceptional, in a sense that they, if you got a problem with your charge controller and if it's still under warranty, not a problem. They'll ship you a new one. It'll ship you a new one. As soon as it gets there, you take down the old one and ship it back. So they've been excellent. And also, as far as the question about how my solar arrays are connected, all of my solar arrays are connected in series. The voltage that's going to these things, to this particular charge controller, is at dangerous levels. We're talking over 250 volts. It can, and in the wintertime it can be higher than that. So I mean, there's if you take 8 Renogy 250s and put them in series, that's what I have. And so the voltage is pretty high. And so, but the thing is, this system can take it. Also, with the Midnite Classic, the voltage is also pretty high here too. I think right now the voltage is around in the 150s coming here. This is a Midnite Classic 250, and I had to get the 250 because in the winter time, I've seen the voltage get over 200 going to this thing. So I had to get the 250 so that I can deal with that overhead. Now, also, when we talk about MPPT charge controllers, okay, I'm going to give you my opinion. I mean, I've been doing this, I don't know, I guess 6 years now. Well, I've been doing this since 2011. And I've learned, quite a bit. I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything about solar and, and so forth. But what I've learned, and I'm not going to downplay that. The thing is, as far as MPPT charge controllers, you want to give these things as much voltage as they could stand, as allowable, based on the documentation. You want, because with MPPT charge controllers, the higher the voltage, because there's a DC to DC conversion circuitry inside of these things. If they're if they're worth the name MPPT, then they have circuitry on the inside where they take that voltage and they step it up, step it down based on the needs of the battery bank. So all of my solar cells, or my array, but I have 2 solar arrays because I got 2 charge controllers, 2 solar arrays, and they're all in series. Now again, people have their own differences of opinion, I'm sure, but with the MPPT, I don't really see the need for it to put your solar panels in parallel. As a matter of fact, I think you lose something by putting your panels in parallel when you're dealing with MPPT technology. I would try to get as high as close to the maximum voltage of my charge controller, and that my charge controller would accept. And you see how my system. Well, if you've seen any of my earlier videos on how my system performs, you'll see that's the way I have mine set up, and you see the results. I mean, on a good day, sunny day, it's nothing for me to get, up in the 80s, 90s, or 100s in amps coming to my battery bank. And again, there's the primary reason why I got the Raspberry Pi shutting off, one of the controllers when, on a bright sunny day when my battery bank is full. On a regular day, my battery bank is full at around 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning. And so, I mean, it gets full real quick. But anyway, also, as far as the question goes, as far as like Schneider Electric actually has some charge controllers that really integrate well with their Connext SW, and it's the 80 amp charge controller. This is the highest this will get is 60 amps. But as you've seen, you really don't need a whole bunch of amps to charge a battery. 60 amps is a lot. Okay, you can see the nameplate here. These are the specs of this particular charge controller. It can go. This charge controller can go up to 48. It can basically take a 48 volt system. My system is 24 volts, and so again, this thing here works great. If I had to choose between this one and the Schneider Electric charge controllers, if you got a Connext and you want to integrate it seamlessly into your system, where the Connext through the COM box will monitor everything and also control the charge controllers to such a degree that they won't overcharge your battery. I mean, if you're pulling in too much power, they can do some stuff to kind of mitigate that, to help with grid support and all this other stuff. Then definitely go with the Schneider. But if I did not have all the extra bells and whistles, and I had to choose, in a head-to-head, decision between a TriStar and a Schneider Electric one, I would go with the TriStar. And I go with this because for a number of reasons. Everything, this entire enclosure, everything is solid state. This is a huge heat sink. You can see it in relation to my hand here. This is a huge heat sink because this thing does put off some heat. And the thing is, there are no fans in this thing. This thing is designed to take punishment in some of the extreme environments, like in remote sites and things of that nature, where maybe a human being may go up there maybe once or twice a year, if that. And so these things here, again, this is my non-expert opinion. This is just my own personal preference. I like these because they are solid state. There are no moving parts. There's no, except for obviously this thing and the circuit breaker, but the thing is, these things here, there's no fans to blow out, or no fans, to stop working. This one here, even the fan is on right now. They're fans. This is a good unit. The Midnite Classics are very good charge controllers. I'm not going to take that away from them. But there are fans in there to kind of help, keep it cool. This unit here, there are no fans. So what they had to do is they had to engineer this thing and develop it in such a way that it could take the harsh climates and take harsh extremes and still work. I believe anyway. But in any case, that's my recommendations for charge controllers. The Morningstar, excellent. The Midnite Classic, excellent. Even the Snyder Electric charge control, I don't own any, but I do know about Snyder Electric as a company. Believe me, I know them very well. And they do provide some very, very good quality stuff, okay, hardware. And it's just that I have my own personal preferences in the sense that I've worked with these for a while, and I trust the brand. Snyder Electric is also a good brand. If I had to go with another brand, but if I had to choose between the Midnite Classic and the Snyder Electric, I would probably go with the Snyder Electric. But if I had a Connex SW inverter, which I do, I still have it, so I would go with it and then integrate it together. But if I did not have a Connex and I didn't have the COM box or anything like that, and if I had to choose between two, then I would go with the TriStar. Okay, all right, YouTube. Just my little opinion on charge controllers and their configuration. Again, if you've got an MPPT charge controller, I would just recommend, again, going as far as with putting your panels in series or parallel. If you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. Okay, if you don't have a choice, you got to go with what you got, right? But if your charge controller can accept 150 volts, then give it if 150 volts is the limit, okay, then give it 100 volts, okay. Give yourself some overhead for the winter. Obviously, there are special calculations you can do for what they call coefficients in cold for cold climates and coefficients for heat climates that helps you to deal with the voltage and the current during those times. But do the calculations and take full advantage of the MPPT capability of your charge controller, and so that way you'll get maximum benefit. For this right here, obviously the maximum is 525 volts. But obviously my panels don't go up that high anymore because I separated them into two. I found that I had reached the ceiling, so I split it up into two. This is 525 volts, and obviously this right here I can't put more than 250 and volts on here. So I went up as high as I could for this, for the array that I have. So if you do the same, I think you can get some really, really good results as well. Okay, all right. And again, thanks for everybody's comments. This is during the holidays. I'm kind of busy, so I'll start answering comments as soon as I can. But anyway, you guys take care now.